Lifetime. I'm not getting a notification. Oh, I just got a notification. Paranormal Help's online.
Mm-hmm.
Those crazy kids. How's everybody doing? Jack has joined us. Leah is here. And Leah is here.
I am.
And she is.
I'm sharing it.
Like and share as always. Oh, I love Jack. Jack's already started out. Whatever you do, don't turn around.
That's a Who reference, isn't it?
I thought, wasn't that Ace of Base?
Who?
Didn't Ace of Base do a song called Don't Turn Around?
Ace of Base.
Okay, sorry. You were probably listening to, I don't know what you were listening to back then.
When?
It was a 90s pop group.
Who was I listening to?
Anybody else here watching remember Ace
New
of Base?
Kids on the Block.
Oh, Lord. Yes, Nick, The Who. Oh, goodness.
Share us if you don't mind.
Yeah, Leah shared. Thank you, Leah.
I shared.
You might get that top fan award again. Keep this up. She's missed a few.
That is not committed.
No.
Sorry.
I mean, I think Nick is getting up there now.
Uh-oh. Remember them both.
Spice Girls. You remember Spice Girls?
You can move that plant out of your face.
Oh,
It's
okay. It wasn't bothering me at all. There we go. This big square right here on my face is the sun. In case you hadn't figured that out yet. I can't get away from it.
Yes, it's not an angelic presence.
Yeah, there is
Sure.
no...
Eh.
Gretchen... Whoa, Jack. Who's Gretchen Hillis?
Hmm?
Jack said Gretchen Hillis. Amanda Sessions.
Who are these people?
He's going off the deep end. He's just naming names. Halo. Wasn't that a Beyonce song?
I thought it was a video game.
It is a video game too. Yeah, I remember that.
Hey, Adina. Ooh. Doing some adjustments.
Last minute adjustments. Oh, he's tagging them to join them. I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, I don't know who that singer
It's
is.
like, did Amanda have a song back in the 90s called Halo?
I think his laughing out loud just had a stroke or something.
Lol.
That reminds me of that. What's that YouTube video?
The cat video, the Trololo cat. He scratches his butt and he's like,
No, I'm talking about that group, that men's choir. That was
Oh, there was. Yeah, I remember that. Hey, Kathleen. Oh, well, we've already got 8 people on here. We can go ahead and get started if you like.
Oh, you're afraid we're going to lose them if we wait a
It's like
minute?
if we wait another minute, they're going to go. What are we going to do? Seriously, guys, make sure you're liking, sharing. Say hey as you're jumping on.
Hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
No.
Give us your favorite 90s pop group in the comment section.
No, don't.
And Leah will sing. Leah will pick one song at the end of the show to sing a hit. And if it's not New Kids on the Block, she's not going to do it. So,
I know more than just them.
name one more.
Color Me Bad.
So there's a meme on Facebook. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but I know you probably haven't. And it said something along the lines of when Vanilla Ice, Kenny G, George Michael, and somebody else got together and made a super group. Because they all kind of look like those different people.
Here's our
mascot.
Mascot, Dobby. Okay, quit showing your bottom.
That's not ladylike.
Nope. So this is going to be difficult.
Okay, so the position. Can y'all see Dobby laying in? When Leah's doing her schoolwork or doing any of her studies or even preparation for like tonight, this is what happens.
If she sees me with a book or at the computer, this is how I have to work.
You too.
You too?
That's what you too. Me and you both.
Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor. Oh yeah, that's an old one. I wonder what happened to her. Maybe she grew hair? Think she grew hair? No hair? Okay.
I think she wears a hairpiece.
All right, anyway, so we'll get this show kicked off. We are Paranormal Help Ministry, of course. Today is June 1st, and of course, with the first of every month, we have our newsletter. Today in history, June 1st, believe it or not, we are based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, as most of you know. Today is the day that Tennessee was admitted as the 16th state of the Union. What?
Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli. Oh, we're on Leah's 65-inch TV. We've gone big time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I hope it's
that
not.
That cannot look good.
I hope it's not high definition.
Woo!
Right. But no, today was the day that Tennessee was admitted to the Union. Little factoid for Leah, since she's a fan of the British monarchy. Anne Boleyn was crowned queen today.
She's gonna get her head chopped off.
Gonna get her head chopped off, yeah. And as far as holidays for today, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Today, believe it or not, is International World Milk Day.
We don't have any.
We don't have any. We've been celebrating hardcore hitting that milk, but yes, today is World Milk Day.
You only buy that on snow days, right?
Is that when we bought this last?
Probably. Wait, go put that in the refrigerator. Don't sit that on the floor.
I gotta go put the milk back in the fridge.
Yeah, this one's already lost his head, Jack. But I see what you did there. How long has that been out?
Just a little. Right before the show started, I snuck it in here.
Can't have nothing.
There's barely enough for a bowl of cereal in there. It's time to buy some.
It's a bowl of cereal.
Time to buy some.
Do you like Mike's COVID mask? Permanent COVID mask?
I worked out in the yard Friday, and you can see where I have my sunglasses. It's really bad.
He's wearing his zoo prisoner outfit.
No, that was a different day.
Oh, sorry.
I've got a shirt and shorts set that I was wearing that she said it's not a set.
Shirt and shorts set.
I was wearing a short and set. Oh God, I'm just gonna leave it alone. They were matching, and she said I looked like I worked at the zoo. Jack says June 27th was her husband's death day years later. That would be Anne Boleyn. Or are you talking about me, as in her husband? Do I need to be worried?
Raccoon face, yes.
Yeah.
But red. It's the red raccoon.
Red raccoon. No, those are red pandas. Never mind.
Yeah.
You see, I think there is such a thing as that. But anyway, so those are the factoids for the day. Dobby's just sitting there all cute.
Sorry.
Just a couple of quick little news bits we're going to jump in here with. First of all, everybody knows the things going on in the world nowadays, what's going on in our country, nationwide, COVID, other things. Just make sure that, we're keeping this nation in our prayers, this world, everything in our prayers. Local governments, everything, please just keep everything in your prayers. We're going through a really struggling time right now as a nation and as a world, but we're going to come out of it really good, I believe. Everything's going to be good. We just got to keep everything in our prayers and got to stay the course and be patient. Hold to it.
Local to
definitely
national level.
Yeah, I thought I'd said national. I'm
You know,
sorry.
you just stopped at local.
Federal, national, state, local, whatever else.
Local to the president.
Right. Something else I wanted to. Rita is watching.
That's Kenna's mama.
Kenna's mama.
Hey, Mama Rita.
Mama Rita. Want to make one quick announcement regarding the team phone number. For those of you that don't know it, 423-402-0386. You can give us a call for if you have questions regarding the paranormal, things in your home, your life, things of that nature. You need us to come out and check something out. That's great. We're very accessible. Usually we respond to a call within 24 hours or less once we get them. But we've been noticing in the last month that we're getting a lot of hang-up calls. People calling us up and they don't leave a message or anything. It rings and we get the call and we get the number, but we don't get a message. Guys, if anybody out there needs us, please leave a message. We're not in the habit of returning phone calls for just a number that calls and doesn't respond with anything. So please, if you are in legitimate need of help or you're trying to reach out for something, please, if you don't get in touch with us immediately, I'm gonna lean back because that sun's starting to get bright. If you don't get us right on the first call and you get our voicemail, please leave a message, because otherwise we don't know what's going on. We don't know who to call back or ask for or anything like that, by Dobby. So please, give us that information so we can get back to you.
Oh, and that is not the cat that Kenna doesn't like. The one she doesn't like, that's Ray. And she's outside right now.
We'd
on
live
the
out
back
there
porch.
if we'd let her.
Yeah, she every time that Kenna comes, the first thing she does is just sit on her every time.
Ryan Peters is watching. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. All right, well, that's all I have as far as intro.
Okay, I'm not sure why I don't ever. Oh,
There's your comments.
yeah.
Which I'll take care of the chat and the questions since you're taking the lead today.
I just wanted to look.
Oh, I know. Teresa just joined us
Hello, Teresa.
from Oklahoma. All right, without further ado, usually I'm the one doing all the talking, but Leah has got our topic for today. I know if any of y'all saw the warning, the 20-minute warning I sent out, I called this Demonology 101, but if you actually had a title for this, what would you call it?
Probably just discussing different theories, or really mainly focusing on one theory of the origin of demons. So I guess that's where we begin, because when you speak of Demonology 101, man, that encompasses, right, a vast amount of information. And it was very difficult to really condense this down to just one part, because one part always leads into another part, and you can just be completely consumed as far as your time frame. And I know we're limited in time here, so I mean, depending on how you feel about this and if you enjoyed it, then I can elaborate on some of the things that I'm going to touch on. I can't elaborate on everything tonight, but
this has got the potential to be a multi-part
big time
topic if y'all are interested in it, and honestly, it's gonna be up to you guys. As she's presenting the information, I guess we'll gauge it based on interaction. And at the end, just give us your feedback on it. And if you want to hear more about this, I mean, I've been where she's at. When there's a topic you want to present, sometimes it's really hard to narrow it down because there's so much involved in it. I'm proud of her, though. She was, even right before the show came on, she was getting everything together, still trying to get her notes together, because there's just so much there.
I was still trying to condense it down.
Yeah.
And the thing is there are going to be some things that I will touch on, and I really won't be able to give any kind of not just biblical foundation, but also like archaeological, historical foundation to it, because we're limited on time. But if this is something that you do enjoy, then we can really go in depth on those subjects later. Excuse me. So if you watched our live from last month, Mike was talking about
from out in the sticks, by the way. We
finally got power back.
But we this discussion last month was about, it was theories involving, and it's a topic that we really don't cover a whole lot of. People talk about UFOs and the existence of aliens, alien life forms, extraterrestrials. But there are a lot of theories out there that just believe that what we know as aliens, or what we think are aliens, are actually demonic forces out there. And we just touched on some similarities between demonic activity that we've seen in the Bible or seen in real life compared to what people have explained in an alien abduction scenario and stuff like that, or just seeing a UFO craft. Now, of course, these different theories are just that. They are theories. The one I'm going to speak the most about has the most proof, not just biblical, but also historically and archaeologically. So I'm going to just mainly focus on this one particular theory. Again, everything is really a mystery, and all of that will not even be revealed until we're finally with God forever. Right.
And, we can sit around and ask questions.
And I've got a lot.
Even if that's even on our mind at that point, we may be just content of being there and just worshiping Him forever. So right. It's just that. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive into this. There are theories on the origin of demons, and that's mainly what I'm going to focus on, but actually one particular theory. Some teach that demons are the roaming, disembodied spirits of men who once lived on earth prior to the creation of Adam. So in the pre-Adamic world, they were meant to roam around, these spirits, just kind of roaming around. That's one theory.
Okay.
Now, of course, that theory would be very difficult to prove with detailed biblical and archaeological evidence, because there is none otherwise at this point. So, again, that was just a theory.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The only thing that even remotely comes to that, even biblically, is what most people call gap theory. Right. Which is between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, where it says the earth, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And in the original Hebrew, it says with the word created, He created it with perfection. It was complete. But in verse 2, it says the earth was without form and void. So what happened between 1 where it was perfect and 2 where it was destroyed? Where there people believe that, again, in the pre-Adamite society, that, now I haven't heard what you brought in. That's new to me. But what I've always been taught was that the angels, or what are sometimes known they're called in the book of Job, which is the oldest book in the Bible, they were called the sons of God, actually came down, and there was worship occurring on earth at the time, where Lucifer was the worship leader, and when between 1 and 2 is when Lucifer actually fell, because Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning. And there are people that believe that it was a legitimate fall physically, and that's what annihilated the earth between 1 and 2, and it had to be recreated. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And you guys too. Last month was really good because y'all were very interactive, and we really appreciate that. So please continue that. If you have a comment or a question you want to interject, don't hesitate. Do that. That's what we're here, is to discuss, not for you just to sit and listen to me. So that's one theory. One theory also suggests that the Lord created evil spirits. Now, of course, this isn't true, because first and foremost, God is not evil and does not use evil to test men. And that's in James 1, chapter 1, verse 13. So if you want to look that up. Also, I forgot to tell you, do you have your Bible handy? I may ask you to read some scriptures.
I can grab it. Old Testament, New Testament, both Testament.
Don't you have them together?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, you got me that new Bible that's New Testament. I was going to.
Well, no. You'll need more than that.
Okay.
Because we're going to discuss really this origin derives or begins in the Old Testament. And then there's some New Testament references. Saying that God created the evil spirits, or the Lord created evil spirits. Well, he's not evil, so he's not going to do that. All right. Now, others suggest that demons are fallen angels. Now, this is what I'm going to focus my discussion on, and actually discuss the link between ancient giants and evil spirits.
You mean like Goliath?
Yes, that's one of them. But there was so much more. You know, we hear mainly about Goliath, and there's other references to giants that are named in Scripture, and even in historical documents and such. Well, they definitely work for Chris. They definitely do work for the devil. That's for sure. Absolutely.
Right.
We know that in the kingdom of God, there are angels. Everyone, for the most part, has heard of angels. Angels are ministering spirits, yet they have a particular body of their own. So in Hebrews chapter 1, verses 13 through 14, it mentions that. For example, some of them are cherubim that have a face of a man or a face of a lion, all on one body. And that's referenced in Ezekiel chapter 1. Some are called living creatures in the New Testament that have the face of an ox, eagle, lion, and a man. And you can find that reference in Revelation chapter 4, verse 7. Some are called seraphim in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 2. And they have wings that are full of eyes. So, wow, what a sight would that be?
Right. Seraphim, they're the... Okay, yeah, I'm getting my... I'm trying to keep my angels together. Seraphim is derivative from fiery one. And they're the ones in Isaiah where he takes the fiery coal and puts it to his lips.
There are so many things about angels. So, unless you want me on a rabbit trail.
I'm sorry. I'm good at that.
And this was so hard. I'm telling you, I wanted to go off in different areas, but it's just hard to pull it back.
Are there cherubim?
I mentioned that first.
I'm sorry.
He's not even listening.
I am.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Okay. So the heavenly creatures that we call spirits have an actual body. Sorry. So that is very important for us to understand. Heavenly creatures that we call spirits have an actual body. And I think a lot of where the confusion comes in at is we have a lot of different terms for the same thing. Okay, and you'll see me use some of these terms interchangeably, but it basically is, I'm talking about the same being or the same thing. Okay, an angel that already has an actual body that can be seen does not come into another person who has a human's body and possess it. So an angel, since it does have an actual body, does not come into another person who has a human's body and possesses it. Okay, so that's not an angel. The possession...
They already have a body. Why do they want yours?
For real. The possession that is mentioned in the Gospels, speaking of foul spirits and unclean spirits, we call those demon spirits. Okay? In Mark chapter 9, verse 25, and also in Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. So these spirits were disembodied. Now, I know in the paranormal field we hear that a lot, talking about disembodied voices, disembodied spirits, and talking about how if something is disembodied, it's different than an actual apparition, which is something that physically manifests in front of you. She's back.
Tommy, you're not going to be able to do this time, baby.
Well,
I'm sorry.
She's not going to have it either.
She'll probably be back.
There is a mystery connected to where demons originated. You start reading about an evil spirit back in the days of the Old Testament, first in the book of Judges, chapter 9, verse 23. So therefore, evil spirits seem to have originated sometime after the flood of Noah.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to go?
I'm buckled up. Let's go.
Squirrel. Exactly. You're right, Jack. Okay, so in the Old Testament time, fallen angels, they weren't fallen at the time. They were actually good angels. They were sent down from God to teach men righteousness. So if you remember, back in that time, there wasn't any written word from God until Moses actually penned the Torah. So how were people or men educated and taught? By word of mouth. And we've learned that in history.
Jack's saying the Watchers.
Yes.
That's another word for them, yes. The most popular known one, I think, actually.
So when they took upon themselves flesh, talking about these angels actually came down to teach men righteousness. When they took upon themselves flesh, meaning they took on a human form of a body, they became enamored with the daughters of men. So in Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 4, they said they went into the daughters of men, produced a race of giants. And I'm going to let you read that just so you can...
Where am I going?
Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4.
6, 1 through 4?
Yes.
So it's at the top of the chapter. It says, the wickedness and judgment of man. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown.
Okay, so scripturally we see that angels came into or had relations or had sex or intercourse with these daughters of men, and that's where the race of giants was created. So in ancient Samaria, all through the Mesopotamia area, there are records of men that were 10, 12, and 15 feet tall. When these giants died, it is believed 200 years before the birth of Christ, mind you, that the spirits of the giants became the demons.
Teresa says, being we was created in God's image and likeness, which is not flesh, bones, and blood, but a supernatural entity, spirit being, and he knew us before we were born. Were we angels once? Is the question.
No, we were not angels once. We are born of flesh. And yes, we do have a spirit, a mind, or spirit, soul, and body.
Correct.
Absolutely. But again, I mean, I can go further into that, but that's going to send me down a rabbit trail. I want to focus on the giants. So when the giants died, the spirits of those giants became the demons. Ancient giants had physical bodies and could be killed in battle. If giants were part sons of God and part daughters of men, then what happened to their spirits at death? So on here are a couple of writings, actually, during the time of the Second temple, a theory developed about the giants' departed spirits. So in the
Apocrypha.
I'm sorry, it's dark in here.
Apocryphal writings. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
In the apocryphal writings of the Second Temple period, the ideals were elaborated on and reinterpreted. One version asserts that the evil spirits originally issued forth from the bodies of the slain giants, or their offspring are identified as Nephilim. And what are Nephilim?
Giants.
Okay. Also in the book called Legends of the Jews, on pages 124 through 132, the writer comments, the depravity of mankind, which began to show itself in the time of Enosh, had increased monstrously in the time of his grandson Jared by reason of the fallen angels. When the angels saw the beautiful, attractive daughters of men, they lusted after them and begat children with them. Giants begotten by the flesh and spirits will be called evil spirits on earth, and on earth will be their dwelling place. Evil spirits will proceed from their bodies because they were created from above and from the holy watchers.
And look, Jack just said it again. The Watchers.
Is their beginning and primal origin. They will be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits they will be named. And the spirits of heaven have their dwelling in heaven, but the spirits of earth, which were born upon the earth, have their dwelling upon the earth. And the spirits of giants will devour, oppress, destroy, attack, and do battle, and cause destruction on the earth and work affliction. They will be invisible. And these spirits shall raise up against the children of man and against women, because they have proceeded from them. Thus they will destroy until the day when the consummation of the great world be consummated.
So what does all that mean? I'm kidding. Kidding.
So in summary, no. So this was just some writings aside from Bible or biblical writings that really supported the biblical explanation as well.
And I've referenced this a lot in several other lives. The book of Enoch discusses the Watchers and the Nephilim heavily. So you can actually get the book of Enoch was in the Old Bible, part of the Apocrypha, like Leah says. But you can actually get copies of it. The copy I got was off of Amazon. It's really, really interesting. Enoch is quoted, I believe, twice. I know at least once in our Bible it's quoted in the book of Jude. And then it's interesting because the copy I have has Enoch on one column, and then in the other column where it's like places where people in the Bible actually made reference to stuff out of Enoch. So if you're wanting more information to deep dive into this stuff, Enoch is a good book. But it's a mystical book. A lot of people, when they're reading it, you kind of, whoa, because it's a lot of different angels, a lot of different angel names. It's one of those I don't really recommend unless you're at a certain maturity level spiritually to read, because it can get real in depth.
Yeah, you've got to really be careful about a lot of these different types of writings and resources.
Jack says, I wrote a story called Giant Slayers about battling the giants trying to possess humans. I'd like to read that.
So try not to get too far off topic. I do want to touch on that the Bible references three groups of angels. Angels that are still with the Lord, that's the 2/3 that actually stayed with the Lord after the great fall, the fall of the third. You with me? Okay.
That sounds like a really deep movie title, The Fall of the Third.
Hey, that would be good. That might be a good story title, Jack.
Jack, you can use that if you want.
But
Give her credit.
One group is the angels that are still with the Lord. That's the 2/3. And you can read that from Revelation 12:4. And then angels that are bound under the earth. The reference for that is 2 Peter 2:4. Those are the fallen angels. Angels that are working with Satan, that is the third that fell with him. Revelations 12:7. Now that third, that's when you hear the reference talking about principalities, rulers of darkness, powers. That's who they're talking. That's what is being referenced, are the third. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so now with those principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, those are fallen angels. 2 Peter 2 and 4, and this is kind of, I just gave you those references, talks about fallen angels, but Jude 6 also talks about fallen angels. So every early church father that wrote about angels mentions this same theory that we're talking about. Josephus even talked about it. Okay, so those are three groups, and I can even go into further details, but again, I'm trying my best to stay focused. It's so hard. I want to say some things. Julius Africanus adopted the sons of God and angels and giants theory in the 4th century. Now, during this time, angel worship actually prevailed, and a fear of false doctrine swept through the church. The church was promoting celibacy among its priests. People believed that if the sons of God were angels and they could fall into sexual sin, then priests and monks could also fall into sexual sin and justify their moral failures using the fallen angels as their example.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the idea that an angel could fall into sin after taking on a human body would imply that men who were not married could also sin as well. So the teaching was changed to say that the sons of God were sons of Seth and the daughters of men were the daughters of Cain.
Jack is getting some clarity here. He says 1, heavenly angels, 2/3, 2, bound angels, fallen, 3, earth angels, 1/3 fallen. Is this correct?
That's correct, but the 1/3 is what's referenced as those principalities. Bound angels, the actual fallen angels, are the ones we're talking about that fell into, when they took on the human body form or the flesh, that actually fell into sin or fell into those temptations and actually sinned, and then they, of course, procreated with those daughters of men.
And the way it's always been explained to me, and Leah, correct me if I'm wrong, with the, principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, that is in essence a chain of command. Like you've got, Satan, who is whatever, and then you've got the principalities, which are like the 5-star generals, and then the powers are like the czars and so forth and so on.
Right, there's definitely a hierarchy, absolutely. And this was one thing that kind of impressed upon me as far as during the study, and Earth Angels. That's a song. But yeah.
I have that playing in my head now, thanks.
Impressed upon me when I've been in situations of discernment where there have been entities or spirits that I've come into contact with that I've been able to see or discern that they are ancient or old. And then there's others that I have come into contact with where they've always been. Like I can't feel like a natural earth aging to them. Does that make sense?
So the ones that were always been would have been like principalities, powers.
Absolutely.
And the ones that you got an age would be the
demons,
or
the spirits of
the giants,
of the dead giants.
Interesting.
So,
and I've heard her say that a bunch, and it's one of those things like I couldn't put my finger on it, because I would think like, well, in my mind, I don't know, I wasn't there obviously, but one believes that maybe the angels were all created at the same time. So when all the angels fell, it's like, how do you place an age on that? But I mean, it makes sense what she's saying. Now, just to slide something in there as far as age of things, there is actually a theory, and there's a local preacher, a televangelist that actually speaks on this quite a bit, that believes that Lucifer was the first created angel. So, I know that's kind of off topic, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying.
Right, and you can see my dilemma here. There are so many offshoots that you can do with this study.
Right.
But this really, I guess, impressed upon me because I never really understood that either when I would have these encounters. And so I mean, I knew there was a hierarchy, but I guess I just it didn't really seem understood or enlightened to me until I went into this study, and then it just really made sense. And again, you know, I'm saying that this is a theory, but I mean, there's a lot of biblical and other historical facts to back this up. I'm sorry, here comes Dobby again. Move. But seriously, move.
She's got to be the center of attention. Jack says, so ageless equals fallen angel, ancient equals demon.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever run into that, Jack, where you've encountered some spirits that you could just discern that there was, like it was old? I know, I don't know. I guess until you experience, you just can't really understand where I'm coming from. But you know that there's an age to it, but of course you may not have a specific age, but you know it's just old or ancient. Okay, great. One person's with me. So yeah, that's kind of what I have really understood in this study. So anyway, let me move on here for just a second. Where'd I fall? So I was talking about how the theory actually changed as far as the church was concerned when it kind of just didn't fall into their line of belief, or when there was that time frame, especially when they were promoting celibacy, that there could be that they could be tempted or actually fall into that temptation of sexual sin. Then they did change that. So here, okay. Now you can actually study this in history if you don't believe that, as far as what the church did, as far as changing their stance on that. And she's been fed and everything, so do you want to see if she needs to go out or something? Okay, so the thing about it is there is a belief, again, 200 years before Christ, this was written, that when those giants were killed in the flood, possibly tens of thousands of them, and even after the flood, another series of giants came, and they were destroyed as well. Well, their spirits became demons. So that's this focus.
Teresa had a question.
Huh?
Teresa had a question.
Okay. You want to
She
answer
said,
it?
what is our spirit? I got to let Dolly back in.
It's okay. Go
Okay.
for it. Hang on. I'm going to check on her.
You want me to take care of the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Teresa, I mean, our spirit, I mean, it's quoted in the Bible that whenever man was created, God said, let us make man in our own image. So, I mean, we have been given a gift. We are, the breath of God. Whenever he created Adam, it says that whenever he created him from the dust of the ground, he breathed into his nostrils and he had life. So, I mean, our spirit is a gift from God. We are created from God in God's image.
Okay. And again, I can do a study on angels just specifically without the realm of the demonic, if that's something that everyone is interested in. And then we can go more into depth about that and how it relates to our spirit in man. So here's the point of all that, and every scholar will tell you that studies the Bible. A demon is a disembodied spirit. An angel cannot possess me, but an angel can send a dart into my mind and put a thought in my mind.
Kind of like, hey, giving you hints and directive, so to speak.
Well, and here's where I think a lot of the confusion of this study may come from. Using the term angel, we automatically think what?
Like guardian angel.
Or good.
Good angel, yeah.
And then if I say demon, I'm going to evoke what kind of?
Dark spirit.
Dark
evil.
spirit,
Yeah.
evil. Okay. So, angels, and there are fallen angels. Okay.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when I'm talking, when I say the term angel. Okay, angels can be good or bad. Or else there would have been a third that fell.
Right.
Or else the ones that were actually sent to the earth to teach men righteousness and then took on a human form would not have fell into temptation.
So does this kind of change our perspective where we've always said we only believe in angels and demons? Is it now angels, fallen angels, and demons? Because what the point you're getting across here is that fallen angels and demons are not one and the same.
Fallen angels, correct, yes. Fallen angels and daughters of men begat demons. So you could say there are angels and demons.
Okay.
So angels would encompass the good ones
But there's two different types of angels now.
and the bad ones, right?
That's eye-opening.
Yes.
Because I know in this field, including myself for years, fallen angels and demon, it's interchangeable. People when they're like, oh, the fallen angels became the demons.
No, they begat demons. Okay, so with that being said, so an angel cannot possess me, but an angel can send a dart into my mind and put a thought in my mind. If you've ever had any bad thoughts or...
Jack said if you get a sudden thought that seems unlike your normal thinking, it's possible sent from outside yourself.
Right, absolutely. Now, an evil angel, here we go. It's an angel, but it's
Fallen.
evil.
And evil.
The Bible calls him, and this is referenced in Psalms chapter 78, verse 49. An angel cannot possess a human body, but a demon can possess a human body. So will you look up Psalms 78, 49?
Sure can. 78.
So an evil angel, of course, will put evil or bad thoughts into your mind.
Verse 49?
Yes.
Just that one, or how far?
Just 49.
He can't, 78, 49. Okay, sorry, it's a really long psalm.
Bingo.
He cast on them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, indignation, and trouble by sending angels of destruction among them.
So they're angels. They're not demons. So it was an evil angel. Okay?
Okay.
A good angel would not bring destruction upon people.
Okay.
Okay? So an angel cannot possess a human body, but of course they can put those darts into your mind and put those thoughts into your mind. But however, a demon can possess a human body. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 14, and also in chapter 18, verses 10 through 11, when Saul was controlled by an evil spirit and tried to kill David, and then also in the New Testament, when people had a spirit of infirmity or sickness. So they actually possessed or controlled those individuals. You're saying a lot of
Well, I mean, this is. I told you a lot of it. I mean, I know quite a bit of this, but some of this is new information even to me. So, where does and you may have just said this, and I'm sorry, but this is a lot to take in. So where would a spirit of infirmity, a spirit of infirmity, where would that fall in? Is that demon?
Yes, that would be demonic.
Demonic. Okay.
Because a spirit of infirmity causes sickness, it dwells within.
Okay. So a fallen angel can put a thought in your mind and direct you to something, but a demon can get in and do the work, kind of thing.
Right, they can control.
Okay.
Manipulate and
So fallen angels can manipulate you to potentially get a demon.
what do you mean potentially?
Well, I mean, like, so depending upon where your faith and where your heart lies, you can get this thought, as you say, from a fallen angel that tells you to drink all the time, or to
I see where you're going.
and eventually you pick up a spirit of addiction, or a spirit of lust, depending upon what it is that you fall into.
So let me kind of blow your mind here for a minute.
You already have, so.
So I know you've heard terms, especially with other paranormal groups and things like that, where people have discussed about possession, and then what would be considered a perfect possession. So really, what is the difference of that?
I'm unsure.
Well, if we put it in the terms that you just described, where it comes and goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard that explained too, and not to say that a demon can possess someone and be dormant, so to speak, and only manifest at certain times or when it's evoked,
Right.
or whatever. But if we talk about the progression of possession, okay, and you talk about, it just left me what the first stage is.
Oppression.
Oppression would be what? Those fiery darts.
Right.
The mental struggle, the stress, the weakening of that individual.
Fun fact here, the word demon actually does not appear like in the original translations of the Bible. It's a Greek term, demona. I can't pronounce it, but it's not demon, it's demonized, and it means through the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So
to some degree, and of course this is still all a mystery, and it won't fully be revealed until the Lord sees fit. But one thing to kind of ponder and think about is that, with all that being said, you have oppression, which can be that first stage of that mental wearing down, that fallen angel or that evil angel actually just preying on the mind and tormenting and having those thoughts just continually. And if you don't have the spiritual strength or the ability to be able to pull those thoughts out of your mind and not contemplate on them, then it will wear you down. Spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. I mean, all of the illies.
Illies?
Emotionally.
Oh.
All the Lees. Okay.
The Lee family. Gotcha.
Right. The whole Lee family is going to come out. But if you're talking about that first stage of oppression, and then you move over into what's that second stage? Infestation.
Yes. Sorry, I've
So
got the
think
Lees
about
in my
that.
hand right
If
now.
you are to a weakened state, then that puts you in a vulnerability for that infestation to come in. So it's kind of like, hey, come over here. I got this one weak. So now there's that opportunity when that guard's down, or when they're so weak that in both spirit and mind, that now that infestation can start to take hold, and then we progress to to possession.
The
Right.
whole family.
Exactly.
Oh, puns.
So yeah, I mean, as far as the origin of demons, that's that theory. Now, here's some other little tidbits I'm going to give you, and of course, if you're interested in this as a study, I can go even more in depth later on.
So Amanda says, so would you say that modern depression could be that stage of oppression?
Absolutely.
In some scenarios. Now, we can't, and we've said this many a time, you can't go looking for the devil behind every bush.
Right.
There are symptoms, there are depressions that are, and Leah works in this field, they are legitimate chemical imbalances and things like that. Some of it can be caused by demonic oppression, but not all of it. You wanna give it some of that?
No, you're exactly right. So I don't want to, when we get into the realm of mental health, again, I work in mental health, so it's not all demons, okay? There are chemical imbalances, there are circumstances and situations that people were born in, raised in, have experienced. Sorry. You just sit right there.
And now she's going to sit over there and stare at you.
I'm okay with it as long as she stays there. So with that being said, no, that's not always oppression or of a demonic nature, okay? Now, there are instances where, yes, that is. And it just takes either... in that case, what needs to happen is hopefully that you are connected with a church or whatever, a group that is connected spiritually, or you have a relationship with God or have that relationship with Jesus, that you are able to pray for that spiritual strength for whatever you're going through, and also to pray for discernment. You know, pray that God will open your eyes to see if it is an actual demonic attack or if it's something that is more, has more of a chemical base or a, I can't, the word's leaving me. So
that's the medical side. I'm out of that one.
The words are not coming out because somebody really needs to hear this, and this is trying to stop me from getting this out. So give me just a minute. So it does not have a demonic base to it. And it could be something that is medically an issue. So it's just having that spiritual or that relationship with God, so that you'll be able to discern or even pray for discernment, so you'll know if it's more of a medical issue or if it's more of a demonic attack. So yeah, I'll just leave it with that. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Remember, there's a delay, so we got to wait just a second.
Amanda's session's not absolutely not ever.
That's Jack answering her.
Okay.
And then he says he's seen possessions that were mental illness too.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, just on the other hand, on the other side of that, yeah, there are mental illnesses. Absolutely. I've seen them come into the office where they've come in for a new patient visit, and I'm like, no, this is entirely spiritual. Entirely spiritual. And that's the thing too.
Dobby.
Come on. That's the thing too, that when you have that gifting of discernment, that and Jack, I'm sure that you have probably witnessed this many times too, but when you come in contact with someone that is spiritually oppressed or infested or whatever at that point, that their spirit, the spirit that is within them, immediately recognizes the spirit within you, and you know, I mean, you can just you know what you're facing at that moment. There's been times that we have met a client, and just for our initial interview, that's having some issues, and just to share a personal experience, I'm not really the type. I'm very quiet. I know, believe it or not. I'm usually quiet, especially in this realm, the paranormal realm, when we're on investigations, things like that. I really don't say a whole lot. A lot of it is focus and just being in that right state of mind to be able to discern what's going on around us. But also, there's just those moments where I've had nothing really has been maybe said verbally, but I've been in front of a potential client where inside we're having this mental spiritual battle against one another, and it's just the spirit that's within them is recognizing what's in me, and it's a clash. So it's just having that relationship with God, making sure that you are aligned spiritually, especially if you're somebody that is in this field and you work in this field. You really, really, really need to make sure that you're aligned spiritually, because especially now more than ever, we are experiencing so much attacks spiritually of everything. I know what we physically see, but there's an underlying spiritual battle that's behind all of this. And you've just got to be in that place to where you can recognize things for what they are and be able to call about. But long story short, what I was getting at is that I'm typically by nature quiet during those times, but there's just a boldness that comes up into me, and that's just God, where I have just flat out confronted, and I just don't verbally confront people or whatever, but
I've seen her do it to men twice her size.
Yeah, I just don't do that. But there's just that boldness, and I'll say, I'm just in that moment. I don't really remember a lot of what I say. It's just whatever the Lord leads to come out of my mouth. But there's just, I've recognized you for who you are or what you are, and then they back down because
Gas station.
Right.
I remember that.
All right.
Jack said that when you asked him if he had encountered that, you said you watched it happen one night. And his quote, I remember this, I can't remember where it was, when that woman looked at him and said, "No, get him out."
I'm trying to think.
Jack, you may have to reach out to us personally on that one. I remember that being said. I don't recall where it was at, though. But I do remember it. And
Mike will tell you, a lot of the investigations that we've been on, or even the interviews, I don't remember a lot. I don't know if that's just God's protection, that these things don't...
That's what I think it is.
That it's just... Because I have seen a lot. And I know I'm not the only one. There's nothing special about me. I've seen a lot. God has allowed me to see in the spiritual realm quite a bit. And I'm telling you, if anybody has that gifting of discernment, it's not something you really ask for. Not on that level. There's a lot of things that I wish I never saw, where I've had spirits that, of course, like Mike can't see, or the other individuals that are with me, but it has revealed itself to me in the spiritual realm, and it's frightening. And so it's tough. It's really tough to deal with that. And I think it's God's mercy on me to not have to be tormented with a lot of those visions and things that I have seen when we go on investigations and things like that. It's just a protection, I imagine. Which is
why I'm glad we record everything and I take notes, because there have been times I've been going over a report at the end and be like, "Hey, Leah, do you remember saying that?" Huh? No clue. I mean, it's like, "Were you there?" Yeah, I think I was.
And it's just the weirdest thing ever. And I don't know. We can just be sitting around and reminiscing, and they're talking about something like, oh yeah, and you said this, and oh yeah, and I even drew picture. I would have a notebook and just draw a picture of the things that I would see, and I'm not a drawer, trust me, so I'll quit that. But and Jack, I think that's just God's grace over our minds, that we don't have to remember that stuff, because man alive, I mean, how it torments the people that we are helping, and then taking that times however many other people that we have helped, it's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. So there has to be some kind of protection in God's grace over us that doesn't let that just play over and over and over in our minds.
So Jack has said, I felt in a positive way like that when I met Leah Golston the first time. Holy Spirit met Holy Spirit.
Right, and Jack had posted one time of, I guess, what was your first experience, or when you met me, or something like that. And we met not even in the paranormal realm. I actually was in a an orientation at a job, or a training class rather, for a job, and he was already an employee there. I'd never met him before, seen him before in my life. And the moment he walked in, I mean, I instantly connected, or rather my spirit connected. I didn't know him from, Adam. So, but my spirit just immediately connected with his, and I was like, I'm going to work in the spiritual realm somehow with this guy at some point in my life. And just as it happened, I mean, I don't even know really how it began. I don't even know.
I met Jack on an investigation, so I actually met him in this field. But having no spiritual discernment, I knew just working with him the first time that I'd met a brother in arms. So,
yeah. So, I mean, that's the great thing of being a child of God, is you recognize your people.
By their fruit. By their fruit is what it says.
So, I mean, that's cool. But again, I'm getting off on a tangent, and I'm sorry.
One more thing before you get back on it. Amanda says, my discernment is not as sharp as it once was, so I wanted to see what you had to say in regards to oppression itself. Why she asked that question.
Okay, just to clarify, what do you mean as far as oppression itself? Or, I know I kind of explained about how oppression would be those thoughts in those minds, or those thoughts that come to our mind.
Remember, her original question was, would you say that modern depression could be that stage of oppression?
Modern depression.
And we said that depression could be, it may not be oppression, it could actually be something medical.
Sure, but on the flip side, it could be something spiritual, absolutely. Now, the thing with depression, if it is a spiritual attack, okay, depression definitely is an oppression that will get you into that state of mind that just weakens and drains and pulls on your emotions. Now, here's the thing, is when we get into really the danger of that infestation and even possession stages, is when you allow the enemy, or the devil, the demonic, to actually completely isolate you. So if you see yourself or someone else withdrawing from others and isolating themselves, and then just getting darker and deeper and deeper and darker, that's the one thing that the enemy uses, is as long as I can get this person isolated to where they don't have a support system, or where they feel like they don't have a support system, where they feel like they're all on their own, and so now I can really drive them deeper and darker into their mind, or what I put into their mind about themselves. So that is really dangerous when someone really starts to isolate and pull and withdraw from others. So if you see someone, or maybe even yourself, if you notice, or if maybe a friend of yours mentions to you, hey, I noticed that you're kind of, not talking to us a lot, or you're kind of withdrawing, you're not really hanging out with us anymore, or whatever, you really need to kind of take a step back, because they know your baseline. So if you get off that baseline, then you need to really kind of self-examine, pray over that mindset that you're having that's pulling you into that depression, that's oppressing you, and then do not isolate yourself. That's when you're going to really fall into that trouble area.
And it's flesh that makes you want to do that. I mean,
Absolutely.
I say flesh using biblical. Most people would say it's human nature to want to withdraw whenever things are going bad. I feel it too. It's one of the, because you feel like that there is nobody, and this is a lie of the devil, that there is nobody out there that has been through what you're going through, or understands what you're going through, or can help you with what you're going through. So you get isolated, because at first it just starts out as a comfort thing. I just want to be by myself. I want to be away from people. And then that's when the attacks start. Mm-hmm. An idle mind is the devil's playground. So you can, somebody needs to hear this. You can learn to notice it on your own, but you definitely can see it in other people, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Guys, I learned something really, really powerful, and I want to share this on a live at some point here in the last week. There is nothing that can be done for somebody with a spiritual attachment that doesn't want help.
Yes.
If they don't want it, there's nothing that can be done. Know that when if you're going into a situation like that, if you've got somebody that's going down that path and they don't want help, that you can pray till Jesus comes back. You can't help them. They've got to want the help. I don't want to distract from yours, but that's something I want to go into eventually.
Right. You can always pray for them for a divine intervention. Absolutely. But I mean, we've all encountered people that just flat out do not want your help. And we've even encountered that on an investigation where they initially called us, hey, I'm frightened out of my mind. Come help me. Come get whatever's here out of my home. We get there. We see it for what it is. We do our investigation. We present the facts, and then them completely reject our
resolution,
our recommendation for solution. And and that's fine. When we come and offer our recommendation, it's your choice whether you want to follow through with it or not. That's absolutely your choice. But there are times, and sadly, and it hurts our heart. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how I still haven't gotten over it, really, of how defeating it feels when somebody needs help so bad, but they refuse.
It's like a drowning person throwing them a lifeline and they just swat it away.
Absolutely. And Jack, you're right. Speaking it actually breaks the power of silence. So, and another thing too, for all you introverts, and I'm talking to myself too, since I do have that sensitivity or that discernment, I just soak in everybody's energy or their emotions. There's times where Mike's had a really bad day at work, and I feel that. And it's not anything directed towards me or anything, but I feel it on such a grand scale that it feels like it's directed towards me.
And I don't have to say anything.
No.
Because if I've had a bad day because I don't want to take it out on her, I've done it in the past. It doesn't get me anywhere. I don't want to be that person. So I'll come home, and I want to just sit down, watch TV, read, eat dinner, something, and just decompress. And the first words out of her mouth are, well, what's wrong with you? I don't have to say anything.
Mm-mm. No. And so what I do, because it's so overwhelming for me, because I feel that and I pick up on that, is I have to now go and decompress. And so I do. I tend to isolate myself. I have a lot of me time, and it's not that I'm in a depression or anything, but still I have to be careful. But I do separate and isolate myself because I just feel, we've all walked into a room and felt tension. I mean, you don't have to have any special ability for that, or gifting.
Your words create energy in the air.
Absolutely. I mean, that's biblical.
Right.
So they can speak life or death. So that's strong words too. But with that being said, is I have to even be careful that I don't isolate myself too much or decompress myself too much, that I still make myself come out of my bedroom and still kind of sit in the living room and just be, okay, not be by myself. So, because even then, that can be used to put you down a lonely road. So you have to just really be careful.
I had to learn that with her because for the longest time I thought she was going in there just to get away from me. She didn't want to be near me. Which, I mean, there's probably sometimes she does. I mean, it's fair. But I mean, coming from somebody, you know, like myself that, you know, in the past has had low self-esteem issues and stuff like that, no confidence in self, you know, whenever your own spouse doesn't want to be in the same room with you, you know, it's heartbreaking. But the more I've learned about her over the years and her, you know, her gifting, I mean, I get it. I completely get it. I wouldn't want to be around this either.
But yeah, you're right,
because
Jack.
I have a big personality.
You're right, Jack. You have to have alone time. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever be alone. I have to, or I'll lose my mind. I get stressed. I'm just completely on edge, and also working in mental health, seeing patients all day with all sorts of spectrum of stuff, feeling that. And then, of course, coworkers that are having personal issues and things like that. And even though they come in with a smile, I'll, you know, go in there to my supervisor. She can be smiling, laughing, talking, and everything. I go, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "How do you do that?" And it's just
So this brings up a really good question, and I'm asking this for real, mainly because, I mean, I don't know if you don't want to answer on camera, that's fine. But I feel like maybe there might be somebody out there that needs to hear this. But with you taking on everyone else's emotions, how do you have time for your own?
Well, that's the thing. That is my emotions.
Okay.
I mean, you don't. When you're taking on everybody else's, you don't. And it's very easy if you don't have that alone time or that recovery or that download, decompressing time, that
Okay.
you completely lose yourself.
Okay.
And then that's another danger as far as having a sensitivity, things like that you can actually lose yourself and kind of form just personalities of who you're around.
Right.
Like you mirror.
Okay. Is it possible that if you have a gifting of discernment or whatnot, and even though it is a gift from God, can you be taken down such a dark hole, dark path? I hate saying dark path because I feel like I'm talking about Star Wars. When you're taken down that dark path so far, is it possible that discernment then can start to be used for something not of God?
Oh, absolutely.
Can it then be twisted for the devil's purpose?
For everything that is God ordained or created, there's a perversion counterpart. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Speaking of, great segue, I just want to finish this. I know we kind of got off topic, which is fine. I love the discussion. Absolutely love the discussion. But with that was actually perfect timing. So we were talking about giants, and let me find my spot here. So talking about a perversion or a different twist to things. So in Greek mythology, the names like of Pluto, Neptune, Zeus, and Hercules, and all these gods that the Greeks and Romans had weren't just names that someone came along and made up. They actually were giants that existed in the Old Testament time. The Greeks took it, embellished it, and made those giants a god. So when we talk about Greek mythology, it's not just stories and things. There's an origin of historical origin that it was derived from, and then twisted to turn them into gods instead of the offspring of fallen angels and women of men. So interesting. And I can even get into some more. That's another rabbit trail I could go on. There's just so much within this, but just to kind of go through, I guess, a basic recap of things. So if you haven't thought about it yet, or maybe you have, the question comes up of, hang on a minute, angels can't have sex. So how in the world are they procreating with these daughters of men?
Everybody put your kids to bed before we start that. I'm kidding.
Oh, so
It's after 9 o'clock. We're good.
So that's true. Angels can't have sex when they're in their spirit body. So when Jesus, who actually pre-existed with God in spirit form, took upon himself flesh, he was tempted in all areas as you and I, but he was without sin. And that's in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. So these were not angels in spirit bodies. These were angels that took upon themselves the form of flesh. So you're saying, hey, that none of this can happen. Well, of course, in Genesis 19, 1 through 5, this explains how the two men came down like angels in Sodom and Gomorrah.
I was just thinking about
and
that.
They're called angels, and they were so real looking that the men of Sodom wanted to have relations with them. So, yes, right. And for you folks, and I know there's some out there because I feel it, that say that angels do not have gender. Yes, they do. And that's another.
Oh, we can't touch on that briefly, because that's not uncommon. I think we've always been told that they're androgynous, they're gender neutral. So there are male and female angels.
Absolutely. And there's actually, if you want to talk to them for just a second, I'll go get that scripture.
Okay. I've got a Bible right here.
Well, I gotta look at the scripture.
Is this awesome? Like I said, whenever she asked me at the beginning of this, if I knew anything about it, her and I have talked about this briefly. And some of the stuff I know, I've studied some of the things about the Nephilim, the Watchers, and all that. But when she started just kind of giving me tidbits about this study, it makes me want to do the study. It's really, really eye-opening to me, because there's even being in demonology and whatnot, knowing how to deal with the demonic. You get into classifications and it's all it's all demonic, it's all demonic, it's all demonic. But to see and to be shown where the difference is between fallen angel and a demon, it's something I would have never thought about. To me, it's all darkness. But that's I guess too vague. It puts it a different perspective on how you want to approach things in this field. So that's really, really interesting. Anybody got any questions or anything while she's out? My mind's blown. It really is. I'm getting as much of this as you guys are. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Jack says, "Can't touch this." And she's in there humming it. And Jack, I didn't get to comment on this, but evidently whenever we said, you said solution and I said reconciliation or something, he come up with the word recommunication, which I guess is a solution and a recommendation combined in one. Recommunication. Am I saying that right, Jack? Recommunication?
Sure. He's like, sure.
He's like, whatever, man. That was a long time ago. I don't remember that. That was a one-off. Guys, I apologize. I keep drinking from my teacup over here. I've talked all day and I don't have much of a voice, so my throat's dry.
Okay, so just a little nugget. Okay, so in Matthew 22, verse 30, it says, "For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven." So why in the world would this scripture be saying that they won't be given in marriage, that man and a woman create a marriage, so, and it says just as the angels. So why would God say that if there's not male and female angels?
What was it again? 22 what?
30.
For the resurrection, they're married.
And then also in Zechariah.
I'm going to mark that. I don't have a pen.
Zechariah, well, I've got it right here.
Okay.
Zechariah chapter 5 verse 9, it says, "Then lifted I up mine eyes and looked, and behalf there came out 2 women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephah,
Okay.
between the earth and the heaven."
Zechariah 5:9.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. This is one of those I don't remember where it's at.
Old Testament.
539. I know it's Old Testament.
If you're following with us, it's on page 539.
At least in my Bible. I'm using the New King James.
1611. No, I'm just kidding.
Henceforth thou shalt. 5:9.
Yeah, chapter 5, verse 9.
I'm just saying if it gives us a different translation so we know what an ephah is. It says, "Then I raised my eyes and looked, and there were 2 women coming with the wind in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between earth and heaven." So ephah is a basket. That's exciting.
I know all that is a basket.
Rawr.
So, yeah. So, again, there's just so much to this, but just to do kind of a summary, again, angels were sent to teach men to follow the Lord. In human form, they became attracted to women and had intercourse with them. Their offspring created a race of giants known as the Nephilim, and God brought Noah's flood to destroy them and their wicked imaginations. And then after the flood, there was actually another race that was created after the flood.
So that brings something kind of interesting. I've always heard of 2 different races of giants and 2 different names, and it's interesting you mentioned them. You said the Nephilim, and I've also heard of the Anakim. Now, is that the difference? Is the Anakim after the flood?
There's actually several, and they were all actually placed around. There's so much.
Okay.
Do we want to have a study just on the giants themselves, because there's actually several names?
Nerd fact that I got to throw in here. Those of you that are fans of the Star Wars saga, George Lucas took the name of the Anakim and used that for one of his characters, Anakin Skywalker. So, of course, I would know that.
Yes, he would.
Jack says that was a giant mistake.
Oh.
Boom. Teresa says marriage was not like marriage today. All you had to do was cleave, twine into a woman, and she became his wife. 2 flesh became 1 flesh.
Oh, shoot.
Well, even Amanda. Thank you, Amanda, for backing us up on that.
That?
She said bad pun, Jack Staples.
So, yeah, but there were actually several names in regards to the Nephilim. I'm talking about, I have like 12, 15 pages of notes here. So, Yeah, when I said I condensed this down to like a page and a
It's
quarter,
like 2 pages almost, yeah.
it's
And that's not counting our handwritten stuff, too.
it's a lot. So I don't know. So what do you think, or do you have any questions or any comments? Was it a lot of info?
There's a lot of good info, if you ask me.
I thought it was really interesting. What jumped out the most at me, and of course I mentioned this already, was my own personal experience of encountering entities or spirits that felt either ancient or old, and then felt like, well, there's no age. And I know I've said that out to you before.
Right.
So that just kind of, I don't know, hit home for me of this theory.
And what hit me is the reason why I wanted you to offer it was that there was a difference between fallen angels and demons, because, I mean, I have used the term, again, talking about that blanket statement, I have used demon as a blanketed statement, when in reality, I mean, I have meant, or I've been referring to what could be a fallen angel, even a principality, anything like that. And I think a lot of us have fallen into that. You know, the demon is just used for whatever is a dark entity.
Right.
Or dark spirit,
and
depending upon what you think.
Right. And I think in this field, that's where a lot of, I know we try to promote paranormal unity, and I know that's a term that's been thrown around in the paranormal community a lot, but it seems like there's always a fight, or there's
a division.
That's the best word. And I think it's just we just use different terms, and we're probably just all talking about the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And I know we've run into that a lot, of where our difference lies in just what you call it. So
I try to be careful about calling things a demon. Yeah, Jack and I actually had an off conversation about this one time, and he opened my eyes about it too, because I mean, I in the past, especially in my, I guess you want to say, younger days of this, my less mature days, I don't know how you would want to put it, my beginning stages in this field, I was quick to call anything demonic. Somebody says, oh, well, my Aunt Lucy showed up, oh, demon. Well, there's this kid, demon. And Jack, we had a conversation about it, and I had to come to the realization that even though I don't believe that, both of my parents have passed, and I don't in any way believe that they come back and hang around and that they're lingering in this world. They are in a better place. They are with, God. They're worshiping Jesus. They're in heaven. They're not in pain anymore. There's no reason why they would want to be here on this plane. But we serve a God that can do anything.
Of course.
And I know Leah and I have had this discussion too in the past. And I guess I'm kind of publicly coming on record here and saying that, I'm apologizing where I've jumped to the conclusion in the past too quickly, stating, there's no way that it's a demon. It's a demon. Could, if I needed it, God send my mother to me to tell me something that I needed to know, because I wouldn't either accept it from him because need to be smacked around to understand, or if I saw a real angel, I would freak out. Could he send my mother to me? Absolutely, he's God. He can do whatever he wants.
Well, see, and we've had that discussion before too, that because, I mean, anytime you read in the Bible, when someone has been confronted by an angel, it wasn't just look at that pretty angel. There was
fear.
A fear. So a lot of,
I'm pointing at the
depending
cat.
on where a person is or whatever they're going through, that may not be a good response that they need at that, or a good thing that they need at that moment in their angels in their original form. So definitely, I know we've talked about this before, that God can, of course, God can do anything. I mean, again, especially in this field, a lot of it's theory, a lot of it is, gathering bits of information here and biblically and trying to piece and puzzle everything together. But yeah, God can definitely come to you or have an angel even represent the form of something that you're going to be more receptive to. You know, that's why I know there was a lot of controversy behind it, but that's why I enjoyed The Shack so much. That movie, well, it was a book, or which came first?
It was a book, then
Okay,
movie.
the book and then the movie is, you know, a lot of people were just up in arms because God was represented as a female and even an African American female, which I don't even know why that's an issue. But anyway,
Because
the fact is
people got to have something to be mad about, guys. It's just the
well,
thing.
anything where God is trying to show of how much he's not in a box, it's going to step on people's toes. So that person, or the gentleman that was the main character there, he was not, because of his past with his father and his father being abusive to him, he was not going to be receptive to a Caucasian male. Okay? So God used whatever form that he would be more receptive to touch his heart and to bring him to a place to know and know him better and have that relationship with God. So we need to stop putting God in a set of parameters. He can do whatever he wants, and we can just have our theory based on our experiences or what we have come across, but we've not even touched the tip
I don't know.
of all things.
So the caveat here is, and I know I've said this, and it probably sounds like a broken record, is whomever or whatever it is that's speaking to you in that form, it's got to line up with God's word. If they're now, I've heard, you know, if my mother comes back to me and tells me, you know, kill yourself because I want you to be with me or something like that, you know, that's obviously not of God. You know, divorce that woman because of this, that, and the other. That's not biblically. You know, things like that. That is obviously not, you know, going to be of God. But I know I've encountered stories where people have talked about, you know, especially after a loved one has passed, where they've been in a dream state and that person appeared in the dream and said, you know, hey, I'm good, I'm okay, don't worry about me. And then that's it. I am now inclined to believe that's possible. I mean, I had an encounter like that myself whenever my grandmother passed when I was age 12. I believed it for a long time that it was her, and then I wrote it off that it wasn't. But now I'm more inclined to believe that that's what happened, because it wasn't right after she had passed either. She came during a time in my life when I was really struggling with some things. And she just appeared to me in a dream and just told me everything was going to be all right. So I'm kind of getting off on that. Real quick, Amanda said that she is interested in learning more about the Nephilim and the other races of giants. It has long interested her.
Sure, wonderful. I would be happy to present that sometime.
And
absolutely.
Teresa said, and Teresa, I may need you to reword the question, or maybe Leah can understand it when I'm reading it. The new heaven or the new earth is not yet here, so how are they in heaven? Will we be going to the new heaven or new earth on Judgment Day?
Well, she's probably talking about 2 Corinthians 12, 1 through 6, where when man's spirit departs his body at death, then he's either taken to paradise or hell, which is, speaking of hell, is in Luke 16:23. So that's probably, again, I think we're all talking about the same thing, but we're using different terms.
Okay.
So I think that's where confusion is coming.
Dobby.
Come on, seriously. I mean, for real. So I think that's where, because, and here's a lot of things too that I hear as far as different denominations, that there's a lot of concepts that we're talking about the same thing, but we have different church speak about it. Like, we have different words depending on what denomination that we're from that we use, and then we're really getting into arguments over specific wording instead of actually what we're talking about. So I think that may be the confusion.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you did say heaven, but I get where you're coming from.
Okay.
But yeah, very valid question. Thank you for bringing that to our attention so we could clarify.
Dead air.
I think that's the most I've talked.
I think you've done a great job. I think you need
thanks.
I'm in agreement. We need to expand on this and keep going with it. I mean, it's a very, very interesting subject. I want to do that. I want to do this study on my own now.
I sent him the message today. I was like, oops.
Oh gosh.
I'm so sorry. Do you need to go out? Here, I'll let you talk to them for a minute. Let me see if she needs to go out to
I've got to recenter the shawl.
the litter.
Oh wow. Yeah. So what she was. See you, Jack. We're about to wrap it up here anyway. So catch the last few minutes of the replay. But like Leah said, when she messaged me today, we were talking about it, and I asked her if she was prepared. And I wish I could read you the message I got. It was like, well, what do you want to cover? Do you want to take this? And it's like, okay, why don't we start at the beginning and just do the origin? Okay, then why don't we do this? And I was finally like, okay.
Yeah, this is, again, very expansive. And you can just take one little part of this and even expound even more and more and more. But
I can tell by the rabbit trails we've taken.
Yeah, and I tried so hard to stay on topic, and I know there was just little tidbits here that kind of left, if I was listening, would leave me wanting of, well, okay, what do you mean? I want to go more and more and more into that, but
Leah says she's learning a lot.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad. So it's it's hard to stay in a lane. Especially when you're doing all of this. But yeah, I definitely like to talk more about the giants and the different races and what their actual purpose was and where they were and everything. So yeah, we definitely will do that. Yeah,
this is not it's not a highway. This is like Atlanta at rush hour. It's so Teresa says, when you call it not about the Bible, it's about what's going on around me. I sure do need help. Thanks.
We'll definitely be praying for you.
And then Amanda says, what study are you using?
It's not a specific study. I'm just...
Hey, Ted.
I've used many different resources and kind of just pulled different things together. So it's not just one specific study.
Well, I guess the question would be, is there, this is my own question, would it be too much to, at least for what you've presented today, not everything, can you put together some, maybe, I guess, would you call it maybe a bibliography or something that we could post where people could study on their own, or would that be too much?
Look, y'all, my notes.
It's just a question.
All right. I mean, I do have my typed ones. But then I got the little writing things everywhere. I know you can't tell that, but it's a hot mess. I mean, I'll see what I can do to try to get it in a more organized manner.
Well, I mean, one thing, and I mentioned this earlier, and Jack backed me up on it, the Book of Enoch is a good place to start about the Nephilim and all that. But again, a certain level of spiritual maturity needs to be read in that, because it is a mystic. It is a lot of mysticism in it. I mean, reading it, a lot of it mirrors like reading Revelation. And there's people that are not spiritually mature enough to even read Revelation in their life. This is the way the Book of Enoch reads a lot. And you've got to be careful, because again, it's not considered a canon book of the Bible. But there's a lot of in it that because of the level of mysticism in it, stuff that again can be perverted by the enemy if you're not sure of what you're studying. So I would be careful with that. Like I said, my copy, I like it. It's got the, I can post the author and whatnot. The guy that put it together, he's actually from Chattanooga, come to find out. that put the book together, and it's got on one column the Book of Enoch, and then it's got like on a commentary form. The other column, it shows you like the biblical, like where in the Old and New Testaments that it's also referenced. Mm-hmm. Amanda says, I'd love to see your notes and input. This has been quite intriguing.
Okay, wonderful. I will definitely work on something that's a little more structured to present to you.
Very structured.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could decipher it, so
you might not be able to.
I'll put it in more like I guess an outline type.
That maybe.
Thing. So yeah, I'll type up something and then we'll post it on our Facebook page as just a reference or a notes document.
Okay.
I'll do that.
I like it.
Yeah.
We are coming up on the 10 o'clock hour here in about 15 minutes. We've actually gone an hour over what we planned. We always plan at least a minimum of an hour, but then it's up to you guys how much longer we go. But usually we do try to cut it off at at least 2 hours, especially on a work night. I know several of us, including these two, have got to get up and work early in the morning, so we'll wrap this up. Really good information. I mean, even I want you to email me this stuff so I can read over it too. So a lot of good stuff. You
can access it from our Facebook page just like everybody else.
See, guys, I don't get any privilege. I don't get nothing special here. I've been on this team as long as she has. I get no privileges. Happy World Milk Day, y'all. I'm gonna drink my tea.
Happy what?
World Milk Day, remember?
World Milk Day. And then you raise your McDonald's tea.
You told me to put the milk back in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Let me go get it?
No.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being interactive. All your questions, and there were some things that we discussed that wasn't about this specifically, and I'm very thankful and grateful for that as well. We love interaction, love it, and there's some things that we could be talking about, or maybe just a question that comes to mind that you just may have been thinking about and you just want to present it. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate all of y'all.
Amanda, it's been great to meet you. Teresa said
Absolutely.
She's messaged her number. She wants to talk to you.
Okay.
So we'll get that. And yes, Ted, this is the bomb. All right.
All right. You're going to have to get up because
Yeah,
I can't reach.
Go Gadget Arm.
All right. So y'all stay safe. Please remember to keep our country in your prayers and our leaders. Not just, and it doesn't matter if you like our president or not. We as Christians are still called to pray for him and his administration, and then also all the way down to our local government. Just pray. Submitting to authority is something very important that you have to do in a Christian walk. Right. So please just keep our country in prayer. Stay safe. And if you have any other questions or need us, you can reach us on here, Facebook, message us. You can call our team number, which is on our Facebook page as well. That's 423-402-0386. Yes, that's 423-402-0386. Or you can email us, whichever, and we will get to you as soon as possible. So y'all have a good night. Thanks for Bye, guys. Chatting with us. Bye. Down. Oh, I had to touch it for the button to come up.